one overrated team?
We're talking about Georgia. That's green and gold. Hey, welcome to the Floor U podcast. I'm Paul Pleshuk, joined as always by Sonny Callahan. Sonny, how you doing?
Hello, hello. How is everyone? Doing well today.
We're going to try this again because we tried to do a podcast with Corey Dickerson. How you doing, Corey?
Doing good, man. How are you guys?
Can't complain.
Good to see you, my friend.
It's always good seeing the bearded one.
Which one? Me or Paul?
No, my hair's on my head where it belongs.
Mine isn't on my head. Okay.
Continuing our long line of bald broadcasts here. As it seems like all but maybe one or two. Well, Sim's got hair yet, huh?
Sim's got hair. He's the only one so far, right?
He's the only one so far. You might know Corey. Corey was for a long time was with Tools for Floors. He got stolen away from them by another great company, Wolff Tools. How long you been with Wolff Tools now?
I've been there since July of last year, July of 18. So
You basically
it's been about 18 months. No, about 16
the place
months.
by now, right?
Sure. No, they've got a group of people there who are just amazing, which was one of the reasons why I decided to make the jump over there. They've got an outstanding support team. Leadership group is pretty stellar. I mean, we just had our national sales meeting last week, and it was amazing to be with so many people with so many. I think they said it was over 1,500 years of experience was in the room. It was phenomenal.
Wow.
And where was that?
We were in Denver.
Denver?
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that where your main office is, Corey?
Yeah, that's where our U.S. office. So we are UTS North America, and that's where our corporate office is. Now we do have a facility in Dover, that's on our UTS side, and then our Pullman and Wolff are all three of them are headquartered out of Denver.
Okay.
And you got a big training facility there we can use, don't you?
Oh yeah. Come on out. I just have to talk to some people. I got to have my people talk to your people.
Oh, very nice. Always looking for that.
Did you see how I slid that in, Sonny? That's pretty.
I see how you did that.
That's pretty discreet there, wasn't it? Nobody noticed.
I see what you did there.
Love it, jackhammer. So we're gonna start out today. We've been working on something for quite a while. Actually, probably a little over a year because we started looking into it at our last Flooring Essentials event, Resilient Essentials, and we made the announcement. We've got everything put together for our heat weld class, February 17th, 18th, and 19th of 2020 at the Arctics facility in Aliquippa, outside of Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Main instructors.
That's going to be Mike Pigeon from Ropey and Daniel Gonzalez from Preferred Flooring.
Mm-hmm.
And still looking for one more manufacturer to get involved. The one guy who's going to do it's going to be out of the country. So we're still looking for one more. But a 3-day course, get a certification in flash cove and heat weld for $300 for $295. I mean, come on. It's we're really excited about it. Absolutely going to host it again throughout the year, 5, 6, or 7 more times. But the trick with that is the more we hold it, the more it's going to cost. So get in it as soon as you can.
I think one of the things I'm most excited about with this class and the way the class is set up is that it's going to be a hands-on class.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a class that is just strictly academic. We're talking about having platforms out and getting on your knees and doing the work. When you walk out, you're going to have as high a level of comfort as possible on how to do these things, and you haven't done it before. This is going to be unlike any other class we've done.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to be a small bit of book work, but most of it's going to be hands-on. We have test pods where you're going to be you have to physically perform the flash code, physically perform the heat welds. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great few days.
Having Pigeon on board is amazing. That you've got a guy like Daniel out of Grand Rapids. His crew is pretty tight. I like those
Yeah.
guys. Those guys are pretty much they're on it.
Yeah, Mike Pigeon. We call him Puppy. So whenever you see him, just call him Puppy, because we told him he's cute. He's as cute as a puppy. So that's how we came up with it.
He's
But,
another bearded one.
he is another bearded one. But when we did it at the Resilient Essentials class, it was just going to be, an 8-hour course, just kind of casual. What do you do? The do's and don'ts, and it turned into this intense, hands-on. Just was so in depth and detailed. People were loving it. Man, we stayed late and we got a quarter of the things done. So he is just remarkable. So I'm glad he could be a part of it.
One of the things we've talked about a lot with this is that there are companies that are hiring people just to come in. They'll install the floor and you just have to go in and do the heat welding. I mean, this is a lot less more labor intensive than your average.
A lot less more?
A lot less.
I did it. I
had company. That was pretty bad. A lot less more than not so much of
but maybe.
Maybe, definitely.
I did that in the St. Louis area with a couple guys. They installed the gyms, and they were like, "Man, you know someone who can heat weld?" And I was like, "Sure." I got me an auto welder, and said, "Let's do it."
And went and did it. There you go.
Went and did it. It's good.
Well, and I think that that's something we're going to try hard to get there, is at least for demonstration purposes, is some of those the auto welders, the machines that pretty much just set it in place and let it go.
Where we get any of those kind of machines?
I wonder if anybody we know has any that could possibly work with us on. I don't
know. There's a guy with Wolff who has a customer out there in the Aliquippa area. America Flooring Supplies. I think they have something like that. It'll be green. It'll say Wolff on it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely works for me.
And another subtle hint picked up by Corey. All right, 2 for 2.
You guys just lay them down. I'll pick them up. Okay.
Oh yeah. But I think a part of it too is the idea of the performance testing. And I think that that's a really big deal for this type of class, because to be able to go out and say that not only have you gotten certified, but in order to be certified, you've had to do it up to the standard that the instructors required. Mm-hmm. And I think that while with a lot of things, academic, multiple guess question tests will show you that you have a basic understanding of it, to have a performance test means that you have shown that you are able to perform that task.
Right.
Well, I've seen guys do it, and I've been on with several guys who have done a lot of welding. And I've worked with a lot of the old school guys when they were doing some heat welding. And then I went out with Dick Schmitz, who used to be with Tarkett, who's retired. And man, he really explained it to me like as clear as you can possibly. I mean, it was crystal clear. And I was like, wow, blown away, because he told me, Corey, the weld is awesome. One of the most important things is the groove that you're making. You've got to make the groove proper. If the groove isn't proper, that's where most of our failures happen, because the guys don't know how to properly groove both sides of the sheet to create that, and then to come back and create that infusion with the weld for both sides, and then the weld coming in to infuse that together. You've got to have the proper groove, and because that's where a lot of their failures have happened.
Yep,
absolutely.
Technique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to groove them.
I'm sorry, he retired.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
You do have to groove them, because usually when I look at them, they're just butted side by side.
Yeah, if you're going to look at it, there's a problem.
But yeah, we've definitely. Sonny really, but this class, I'm excited about it. I think it's something that is there. It's a niche in the market that is needed, and it's something that really is going to give someone an added service.
Mhm.
So, you've already got your customers, and coming from the again the carpet maintenance side of it way back in the day, you were always looking for services that you could add on to sell to the customers you already have. Instead of going out and finding new customers and finding new people to hire you, this is something that specifically you can now add in that they will consider you for larger jobs.
In your portfolio that not everybody can do. So no,
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. So it's going to change the face of how we do training around NAFCT. So I'm really excited.
February
So-
17th, 18th, and 19th. You
Yep.
can register at nafc.com.
NAFCT.com.
Yep. Is that what I said?
No,
Forgot a T, bro.
you forgot the T, man.
You forgot the T.
Might have just slurred it together. You guys assume this is water in here.
T.
Wasn't-
See, you
Wasn't
forgot
even
the
sweet
T.
See, he's got T.
Sweet tea
Yeah.
all day, every day.
nafct.com. You can register. We don't have the pay button up yet, but I'll either send you an invoice or we'll try to get that up. PayPal went through and changed all their HTML. I used to be able to do it and I could just change the button, put it on the website, move on. And then they changed it and I haven't figured it out.
No worries, we'll get it. Get signed up, and we'll figure that part out. That's the easy part. So
Yeah.
Be a hacker, not a packer.
that's not how that goes, Corey. It
Oh,
goes
man.
be anything else. Just don't be a Packer.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
None
I
but
mean,
love,
Sonny,
DP.
Corey lives in St. Louis. I mean, he'd be a fan of their football team, but oh yeah, they don't have one.
I was a fan of their team because I got a home game every year. The Niners would come in.
Yeah.
You got one.
I got one, and see how that went last night. I was not happy. So
I got to send you a picture that I saw today of the Niners fans getting ready for their game.
don't do that.
They were working on their eyeshadow.
That's going to be inappropriate.
Eyeshadow.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You're barking.
Well,
Don't
at least
be
San
hating.
Francisco has crap everywhere else. At least there isn't on their football field right now.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good.
Don't
All
come
right,
at
Corey.
all my Green Bay
Tell-
Packers, right?
Corey, tell us a little about yourself.
I think Georgia won again this weekend.
No,
Well,
they didn't.
well, guys, it's been a fun 20 plus years for me in the building industry. So it's been a good run. We're not done yet. We're gonna keep this thing going.
So
Tell everybody, how'd you get to where you are? Tell us how you got into this specifically.
Into
This is
the
where we got
flooring.
cut off last time.
Yeah, I'll condense it because I'm pretty sure those who heard it are like, we don't want to hear this crap again. But
that was just us. We didn't put the 20 minutes out. So.
awesome.
Yeah, we didn't put it up.
I spent quite a bit of time working with a company that bought my dad's company out, and that was kind of fun. They were into concrete forms and pouring concrete, blasting, and also scaffolding. And I worked in their concrete form department for a while, and then because my dad was like, "Are you going to school?" And I was like, "Well, no, I don't want to." "Well, come work with us for a summer," and that changed me for the next year. So I decided to, you know what, I probably need to just go to school because getting dirty isn't part of my repertoire. Physical labor isn't part of what I want to do.
Repertoire pretty much shows you don't want to get dirty.
There you go. Okay. And we've narrowed that down. But it was quite a bit of experience there. And then I actually started remodeling homes on my own when I left there. So I started my own company when I was like 22 years old. Went to school for accounting and business management, graphic arts and design, and some mechanical drafting. So I was kind of a goofy kid with arts and mathematics. It's kind of like across the board, but who knows? So at about 20,
in there, huh?
yeah, So about 21, 22, I started my own business, remodeling homes, doing blueprints and all that by myself, hanging drywall. I got dirty. Didn't like it.
Didn't like it.
But I hired crews. Woo-hoo! That lasted for a while, and then I decided to get back into a business where I was not the owner or operator and not trying to make sure all my finances and taxes are paid, because the government will come and kill you if you don't pay your taxes. So I went in and worked for a company in the distribution business. This is crazy because it was in the medical field, but my operations side had me working with the operations manager, and then I worked with him for about 8 years, developing and how to run branches, and became an inventory specialist for 46 locations. And then I said, you know what, I'm done with this. I need to get back into the construction line because that's what I like doing. I like the home building. I actually like using my hands a little bit more, not getting dirty, but at least using my hands. But when I was
Using them
doing
like this. Hey,
yeah,
come here.
hey
do
guys,
this.
hey, yeah, I'll write this for you. Here you go. Let's pay that off. But when I had my own company, when I was remodeling homes, is when I did a little flooring for about 4 or 5 years. Did some training, got a little bit of certification, but I wasn't deep as some of the experts who I work with now. Then after the company I was with for 8 years, I decided to look up a little company, EJ Weld shot in St. Louis, Missouri, and started with those guys. Started working with those guys, and worked for Mr. Mike Welch, which was phenomenal to learn some things about the flooring industry.
Good people.
He and excuse me.
Yeah, I said he is good people.
He's
Mike
good.
Welch
He's
is.
really a really good dude. To work to work under a guy with such information and such knowledge as him and Keith Rome, those two had so much information and so much knowledge that I learned so much from those guys on the flooring aspect and in the flooring business, and how to treat those in the flooring industry, how to treat our installers, how to treat our different organizations, how to make sure that we're always giving back to keep the industry growing was just huge for me. And that's why, I mean, Paul called me out, I think about 4 or 5 years ago. We met up in Dalton, and I was like, yeah, I'll come out because it's not going to be big. I was like, dude, it's an organization. Let's go do it. I don't care. I'll come out.
Yep.
I'll ship some stuff out, and we'll do it, brother. It's all about giving back to the industry and keeping the industry growing. Um, while at Welch, came in as a customer service, immediately went to purchasing, inventory control specialist, and then branch operations. Within the first year, Mike Welch wanted me to join his nephew with a small little company, toolsforflooring.com. And we actually got together. We put our brains together and came up with a plan and presented it to Mike. And Mike said, let's just do it. And from there, we were shipping into about our first year, we shipped into 6 or 7 states. When I left last year, we had jumped into our 86th country shipping into. So
Wow.
it kind of grew. It was rapid growth.
Yeah, you talk about filling a niche, filling a void there. That was that came along at the right time. I know a lot of people who use that. So
Yeah, it was instrumental because we had to think of what is the new age of installers. What is the new millennial group doing, the installers? Because believe it or not, we do have millennials who are installing floors. I know it seems kind of crazy, but yeah, they do, and they're pretty successful, and they're growing.
absolutely.
And I get out and I talk with these guys. I'm like, well, sometimes if I'm at a ball game and I forget to order something, I can go right on my cell phone and order it now. It's like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
You can do that now.
And it'd be
So
there
it was-
quick.
Yeah, so it was things like that helped that whole process grow. And after 14 years there, I had done the operations side. I've done a lot of different things, inventory control, safety specialist, the whole thing. And I decided, it's something I need to add something new to my repertoire. There you go again. That's tight. If
That's
you can
his
use
word of the
whenever
day.
you can.
He's got a word of the day dictionary.
Hey,
That was-
whenever you
How can I
use
work this in this
repertoire,
interview?
or if you can use cornucopia, you've got to use those words, man. I mean, those are two words. Whenever you get an opportunity, you have to use them. You know what I mean? Hey, I've got a cornucopia of shoes in my closet. See what I did there? Whenever you can use them, you have to.
If you anti-disestablishmentarianism,
Anti-establishmentarianism, I can do that one too. Whenever you want. No. But
I
I
like
felt
blue.
Red.
Glue.
Yeah, I got it. No, I felt it was time for me to try something new. I hadn't tried the sales directly into sales yet, and I felt, let's give it a whole push. And I had a couple of vendors in mind, but Wolff Tools kind of stood out. I went over to Germany and visited their facility in Ilsfield, and just was blown away by how they operate, how they build machines, and the passion that they put into the machines, the innovation they put into machines. And that was, I visited many of manufacturers and many of locations, tested their products and seen them, and I just fell in love with it. And the opportunity presented itself. I went to Mr. Welch and got his blessings, and he was on board with it, and we made the move last July, and it was fun. It's been fun.
Well, there's a reason Germans have that stereotype of over-engineering products. It's because they over-engineer products.
Yeah. I look
and
at
once
some
they
of
put
it,
their mind to something, there's almost nothing no stopping them.
Yeah.
I look at some of the tools of some of the machines, like our turbo stripper. I look at it and I'm going, all that wasn't even needed, but okay. It's great. I love it.
For you. Exactly.
That's great. It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, they are phenomenal with innovation. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better place to be right now. I mean, the whole team, the Germans come over and they ask for ideas. What do we need? What's different? What do we want to do? I mean, they're always asking for ways to improve and to actually have something to offer to our installers. And that's for me is where it all boils down to, is what good can I bring to an installer that they don't have right now?
Well, and
Everyone's
that's
got these
important.
items.
That's important for you because the market in Europe is so drastically different than the market here in the United States. I mean, they're relying on you to know what they need because it's just so different over there.
Yeah, it's a whole lot different. It's just and what's funny is that they've got a lot of tools over there that we don't have in the States, and I look at them and go, "Oh my God, I wish we could have that." And they go, "Well, the power, the electricity you guys have running in the States don't allow you to have this." Man, I hate the U.S.
I got an adapter. I'll plug it into my phone.
Oh no, it's a really cool company though.
Yeah.
And they allow, they are growing into the organizations. They are growing into the FCICA, the CFI, the NAFC. See what I did there? I put the T on the end. T. And we want to work with more of the organizations so that we can continue growing our trade. That's what I'm looking for. I've worked with the now VP of UTSEAM, Brian Pruce. I was with him last week, and he was ecstatic about growth in the organizations. So I'm sure Brian is going to be out, and you guys have met Brian. He's fun. He's a phenomenal dude. I mean, he's one of those guys that want to help the industry. So we're excited.
Yeah, they're getting more involved with FCICA as well, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to hear that. We need that support in our industry for sure. So, I'm trying to think. I met one of your guys at CFI, Dennis. What's Dennis's last name?
Dennis Bergstrom.
Yeah, Bergstrom.
Yes. Not the car dealership in Wisconsin, okay, Paul?
I was gonna say,
not that Bergstrom.
You mean like the 50 car dealerships?
Right, the 50 car. Yes, no, yeah. So Dennis is down in our Texas area, and he works with one of our major distributors out of the Texas area.
Okay.
Dennis's years of experience. He was with Roberts for years. We went down the list. I think he said he's been in the industry 50 plus years. I was like,
Wow.
whoa.
Wow. Yeah.
One word for you, brother. Rest, man. Rest. But he's a plethora of knowledge. Whoa, I got these words. Yeah, he has so much knowledge that you ask him a question and you get the answers. Now, I do joke with him with his thick Chicago accent, but he's got so much knowledge, it's unreal.
Oh,
And those are the guys, for guys like me, when I ask some questions, I'm listening to learn from, because this guy know more than what I'll ever know.
He has to be smart though. It takes a lot to overcome a Chicago accent. I mean,
yeah.
You hear that and it's like,
Yeah, we were booth neighbors, and it just seemed like we would always be standing in the middle of the aisleway talking, and then someone would come to our booth, and we're like, hang on, Dennis, I got to go talk to somebody. I'd have to go over there. He'd have to go.
What are you guys doing?
We spent more time talking to each other.
You guys are interrupting us.
Now we had talked a little beforehand about we want to kind of get into some tools from a technical standpoint, and you had talked a lot of what's changed over the last couple of years was anything doing with concrete and to do with the new OSHA rules that came out.
Yeah.
What do you have to help people handle that? From drilling to grinding to vacuums to...
when I was with Weld, when I was with the distributor about 4 years ago, before, so let me see, I got something here. So in 2016 is when the rule became effective, June 23rd, to tell you the truth. But then it was postponed to September 23rd actually June 23rd, 2016 is when the rule became effective. Due to some obligations with Commerce, it wasn't put into ruling until June 23rd, 2017. Mm-hmm. And then it was pushed back to September of 2017. So right around 2000, when it first became a rule in 2016, is when I started getting a little bit more involved. The company that my dad worked for did a lot of concrete cutting. So I was kind of familiar with silica and all that thing back in the early 90s. So what I did was I put together just being part of the safety team with Welch. I had to also instruct our territory managers on how to sell vacs and what we're looking for. And when we're grinding or milling or drilling floors, concrete, these are the specifications that these guys are going to be required to have on jobs. A lot of people get lost in just the PPEs and the RPEs that are the personal protection equipment and the respiratory protection equipment on jobs, and they fail to realize the most important thing is having a competent person on the job site that can do pre and post
a trained
documentary. Yes, they got to have that person on site. That's number one. If you don't have that person, you can have the HEPA vax, you can have everything you need.
Right.
It becomes irrelevant. It becomes irrelevant because the guys with OSHA, they're going to look at you and say, okay, how detailed is this person? And they see you've got folders and everything lined out. This is dated here. They're going to be the less likely to dig deep into that. They're going to look at you and go, okay, these guys got everything lined out in their paperwork. Now let's just go see how their guys are equipped now. Did you guys lose me? No, there we go.
No, yeah.
So I've worked with the guys and explaining to them the 99.97% of fine particulate that needs to be removed from air. We've worked with vac systems. I've explained to them how to make sure that, because a lot of our guys were still using hand grinders to get close to the walls and all those, to grind down humps because of the RPM that are in the hand grinders and the grinding cup discs that you can use on them. The thing that I try and point out to a lot of people that those hand grinders, while they may be effective on your job, they're not. They are actually the reverse for your employee. They're killing the guy's back, is making them down on their knees. They're stretching their torso out, which is causing so much pain on their lower and mid back. It also comes into their hips and thighs. My wife's a personal trainer, so I know all these kind of things that works out there. Yeah.
Good thing you gave credit where credit was due.
Yes, she's the one that teaches. But and not to mention that these guys are now, foot, maybe a foot and a half, 2 feet from this dust coming up, or even clouding, or ballooning, or blossoming, or whatever you want to call it. This dust cloud coming up into these guys' face, and you can wear an N95 dust respirator all day long. The guys are still going to have it. It's still right there, that close.
Mm-hmm.
So making the guys more educated on CFM, how much airflow is flowing, how much airflow suction from the vac is flowing through the hoses to help create or help remove the dust from the floor. Those have been, I go in the guys, yeah, we're still using hand grinders. Well, let me see your vac. And they've got a shop vac. And I look at it and go, well, that vac is about 75 CFM. And you got a guy with a 7-inch hand grinder. OSHA rules is 25 CFM per inch of the diameter. So you need a vac that's about 175 CFM. If you don't, you are not
not in
compliant on the job site.
Yeah.
So, I've run circles, I'm jumping through hoops trying to explain to guys this. And a lot of guys look at me now that I'm with a manufacturer and go, yeah, you want us to buy your vac? And no. Yes, I do. I would like if you bought a Wolff vac. However, I would prefer for you to have our future installers living until, they're,
Right.
70, 80 years old, where they can provide us information like Dennis does now, down to a younger generation. That's what I want. I want the guys to be able to live. I want them to be there for their grandkids.
Well,
That's what I want.
I think just that information and the fact that you're giving that information as a very factual data gives people the ability to compare apples to apples. So you're going out and you're looking. If you're looking for the vacuum that's going to fall within that requirement, you're giving them information, or you're giving our listeners information that is related to, here's what you're looking for. Yeah, come talk to Wolff Tools, see what they've got, but here's what's required by OSHA. Make sure that if you're looking at vacuums, you're comparing apples to apples and getting something that's of sufficient power to keep that work site safe.
To keep you compliant. Well, and that's the thing.
Just to keep them
you
compliant.
mentioned it. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
No, I was just saying, just to keep them compliant. That's
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you mentioned it before that, you could be the best trained person in the world, but if you don't have the documentation to back that up, you're going to open yourself up to some liabilities. And we preach this all the time at NAFCT, that the tools that are required in your toolbox are not always hand tools. Sometimes it's forms, it's documents, it's certifications, it's information that you can have readily available. Oh, you want me to go over that old adhesive? Want me to go over that old black adhesive? Here's F710 to tell you why I can't. You can hand that right to the GC and go, this is what I'm going by. Same thing with the OSHA regulations. You've had that documentation. It would be a certification of your training or how you got to where you are. You save yourself a lot of headaches, because if you got your poop in a group, like you said, they're not going to mess with you. They're going to move to the next guy because they know there's a lot of people who don't have it together.
So seriously,
a lot of headaches.
So seriously, he's going with cornucopia and you're going with poop in a group.
That's right. I'm from the South.
That's how this is going today.
Okay, poop in the cornucopia.
You got to go with what you got, man.
Well, I did get a message from Ken Balon saying that he enjoyed the one last week with Sim Chrysler, but he goes, but you guys sounded really funny. I go, what, was the microphone not working? He goes, no, your Southern accent. I was like, yeah, thanks,
I've got a question for you guys. If I unplug my earbuds and use my computer mic, will we still be good?
You should be fine, yeah.
Go ahead and
Let's
try
try
it.
that.
Go with it.
Let's try that.
Whoa, hey, up and close, personal.
A little personal.
I just used my headphones because on the first recording we ever did, we had a bit of an echo. So,
Or do we have an echo now?
No.
All right, good.
It might just be on my end because I'm doing the recording. So,
yeah.
Well, we were getting down to 3%, and I don't want to lose you guys.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
When we plug this bad boy in, these iPads, you only have one plug, and that's it. But that was very important. That was Mike Welch put me to task and said, well, then come up with something that you can easily put into a PowerPoint. You're not a doctor. It's no. He goes, so what we'll do is we put together something that just explained the ruling. I went through the 700 pages and found
You're the guy. You're the one who read it.
And I found
Right.
the paragraph and a half that pertained to flooring. It's like, that's what we're looking for.
And it is, because I went through it. Actually, I pretty much read the whole thing too. So, but that was both
Floor
of us.
geek.
But for drilling, the funny thing is, you go into a job and you drill for RH tests, and you're in this huge commercial building normally, and you drill. You don't usually get the ASTM compliant tests for moisture. They usually do a sampling, and you go in and you drill those holes. Well, in order to determine if you don't qualify under that standard, you have to go in and use the equipment you're using and have a government guy who, it's free, but have a government guy come in and measure the air quality, where you drill 75 holes in a 15 by 15 room. And I'm thinking, I'm in a huge shopping center. I'm in a Kohl's or Dick's or something like that. And I'm going to drill 6 holes, and I'm going to drill them down about 1.5 inches. How are we comparing apples to apples compared to somebody that's grinding a floor flat? But, until you have that person come in and confirm that you're not putting too much into the air for that airspace, you have to comply with the standard.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is there are extractors, DeWalt. The guys at DeWalt have something you can put on the end of your drill that will pull the dust right up. Who's that other one? There are several companies that have drill bits that have where you can have the dust can come right through the drill bit itself.
Yeah, Hilti has one of those.
Hilti. That's the one I was trying to think of. Yeah.
I love it. It's amazing. You have some of DeWalt's got a contraption you can put over you put it over your hole, you drill into it, and the air is plugged in. I mean, your hose is plugged into it, and it'll suck the dust right from it. There's all these different kind of ways to do the drilling, but when it comes down to it, there's going to be something in the air.
Right. There's a tolerable amount, though.
And what's funny is that I was reading an OSHA release. I think it was about a month and a half ago, where air quality, they're going to start having on site. You're going to have to have air quality monitors. So the next thing is guys are going to have what do they call it? Air scribers. Yeah.
Oh, so the cost of doing business just went up again.
Wow.
It's going to. I would look at it in about 18 to 20 months. It's about 2 years out, so about 18 to 20 months.
Are people just going to leave that outside, or put it in a closed room?
It's got to be something to clear that air, man. That's going to be one of the OSHA judgment rulings. They're going to look at your air meter on your work site, on your job site. Big
brother is watching.
Yeah. Well, they don't. The lawsuits, the health. I mean, the lawsuits for them. It's more the health for me. I would rather a guy be healthy, a gal be healthy.
Yeah, but you can't legislate away stupidity.
We over legislated, and then it's just like, you know what? Why are we working now?
Yeah.
Well,
it's like what we talked about last week with the plasticizer. I mean, I'm interested that's going to be involved in that type of regulation.
Well, we're doing what we can. You guys, you implemented the dust collection systems and having them at 99.97%. Guys, there are filtration systems now that are at 99.8, 99.99%. They're doing their jobs. It baffles me that I hear from some guys, well, it hasn't hit my area yet, so I'm not worried about it.
What hasn't? Cancer hasn't hit your area? no cancer around you. That's good.
You're immune.
I look around and I go, "What do you mean it haven't hit your area?" Well, OSHA hasn't come to my area yet. It's not a big deal. And I go, "Okay, well, I'm just getting into my numbers geek mode." There was a company in Virginia that got hit for $304,000.
Atlanta too, 500,000.
I'm not sure if you can just get rid of that by going out of business either. I think that's a fine.
No, I would think not. I would think not.
I would think that if you're working at a 2% bottom line gross, a bottom line profit, you've got to be bringing in a lot of cake to pay $500K.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot.
That's no. I don't have that.
No, it would just.
I got 5,000 pennies. I think that's about all.
Some of those fines are set up for the businesses as well, though, I believe, because they have to feel a pinch from it. I don't know that you're going to go into OSHA's going to come into your daily floor installer and fine them quite that much, but I guarantee you they're going to feel it.
Yeah,
right.
Well, it's one of those things. So the one in Virginia, I was talking to a guy in Maryland who was familiar with that, and he was like, "Yeah, Corey, but it wasn't all silica." And I was like, "Aha!" So he said, and OSHA visited them 3 times.
Yeah. If you get visited once and you don't comply, if you get warned once and don't think you just dodged a bullet and you keep doing what you're doing, it's kind of on you. Yeah. Okay. Kind of. It's on you.
He goes, they got hit $7,000 the first time they came out, and then the second time was their second warning. The third time it was $7,500 per employee on the job.
Oof.
And then they went into, you didn't have this is not, your paperwork isn't compliant, this isn't, and then they just nailed it. And I went,
that's crazy.
"Oh, well, that's not cool."
And that sound lost the competitor.
Yeah. Well, what was it, Corey? I remember, I'm trying to think back. The reason they extended it was because there was a tool or a piece of equipment or something that wasn't available. They couldn't make them fast enough. Do you remember what that was?
I was under the impression that some of the filters so in June,
it has to be. Is it the agitator part of the filter that they were?
It was a part of the filters that they couldn't have in the States, and they didn't have them prepared for the onslaught of purchasing that was about to happen.
Right, the demand.
And also they allowed a year for everyone to become compliant, and then guys still weren't compliant, and they still hadn't let me backtrack. So in 94, 95 is when Solica was really coming into play for the masonry company. So those guys doing tuck pointing, all that good stuff, because they were the ones who were cutting into cementitious product inside of homes, and clouds of dust were going everywhere outside. Yet they still weren't protected, and they were like, "Well, it's outside. It really doesn't matter." But you're still inhaling this mess. So it started from there, and then they expanded it out. So in 16, it was into the flooring and what we were doing and grinding and concrete milling and all this stuff. So then they had to go into, shoot. As you see what happened, I saved myself. Paul was just shaking his head.
Mark the time for editing.
One of the F's.
But there you go. It was a little late. Sorry, a little late.
So what they were going to do was, we also do drilling, and that wasn't implemented yet. So it was that with filtration that kind of pushed it back. So they gave us a year to become compliant. And then guys were still like, well, this is that, and still arguing back and forth as to the level of compliance should they be at. And it got pushed out to September. Well, the guys were getting hit or being visited in September, and they still didn't start really fining people until late October.
Sorry.
What?
That,
Oh,
that was my, that was my "you are an idiot" for the people that were still not compliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let me give you all these
time.
chances.
Yeah, and then the guys were like, well, and then what was funny was that OSHA was going out and visiting guys and, ready to fine people. And they really didn't start implementing those fines until, I said, late October, mid-November of 17.
Mm-hmm. Well, to this day, I mean, we talk about it a lot, but worker safety, and it doesn't help us, and I don't quite grasp it either from the aspect of silica. We don't exactly take lifeguards on the sandy beach where it's windy and it's up in the air and tell them that they've got to wear their protective gear. So there's some misunderstanding, and I'm guilty of that myself as far as understanding what the difference is between by saying it's silica. What is it that is about silica that's different in concrete and masonry versus sand on a beach? And I don't know the answer to that. But there are studies, and I'm not trying to minimize it by any means. But boy, they could use some more clarity on what components are the problem, and help people understand why, hey, listen, we're not just talking about sand on a beach. We're talking about fine particulate, cut, airborne, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to do with the particle size is what part of the difference is between the beach and when you're grinding, because when you get to that small, finite particle size, it gets in your lungs, but it can't get out. The larger pieces, like what's in sand at the beach, it can get back out. The finer pieces attaches to the liner in your lungs, and that has a lot to do with it. So it's not that it's different. It's just that it's smaller, and that's how it's been explained to me.
That's how it's explained to me. It's that and then the crystallization of it causes that inside the lungs.
And then they stick to each other and go and gets bigger and bigger, and then
it stays airborne for a long time. Those very fine particulates, kind of like smoke, it stays airborne for a long time. But there's always going to be, there's people that don't think smoking will kill you, but
it hasn't been proven.
I haven't seen empirical data that shows that.
And they always
says the guy who puts that little vapor thing in his mouth.
I like the guy that says, I didn't get canceled until I stopped smoking. It's like, what?
Well, yeah, that's what they always point at, that one guy that's 95 years old and smoked a pack a day his whole life. They're like,
no, smoking's not bad for you.
That might be the exception.
Okay. I've had a player.
Let me find 100 people that died at 60 because of lung cancer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, that's we've Wolff and Wolff Tools. I mean, we've tried to the innovation of the company is it's pretty sweet, considering that Hans Wolff is the guy who invented and patented the walk behind self-propelled stripping machine. It's the company they are doing things that are even then that were safety, to actually save the body of an installer. And we've got our grinding machines are all set. Like we've got a 9-inch grinder that gets those guys off their hands and knees. And I'm trying to tell guys about it left and right. It gets your guys off the knees, and you only now need an 80 CFM back.
Right. Well, I mean, we're talking about the health of their lungs, but the health of their back and their knees and their body, that's even more pertinent to installers, right? So,
well, if you're talking about drawing people into the industry, that is a big part of it. Yep. It's a big part of technology, is a big part of drawing people into the industry. And
I told our industry isn't the sexy industry. We don't have the industry that's got, TV shows installed in floors, right, Paul? Idea. We don't we don't have the guys who are building cars and they've got the girls and everything around and everything looks cool. We
I
don't
don't know
have
about you, but the glue guys have that, Corey. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
the tool
Once I
guys.
get them, they're stuck.
Well, it looks like I'm going to go to one of the other companies that produce glue. That's where I'm going. Don't tell my wife.
That's why Sonny only markets in Hollywood. That's
That's it.
But I mean, the safety of the employee himself is just as it's so important. We've got those kind of machines that will get those guys off their hands and knees and get them up in the air. They're not within 18 inches from dust coming up in their face.
Yeah.
It's those type of machines. And there are other companies that have these type of machines, and working from my past, I know all of them. I've visited tons of them, and I respectively, I can actually guide someone if they're looking for a certain machine, and I can say, hey, I've got this, but if you're looking for something in that size and that, then go with this one because it's going to be better. It's going to fit your job. You can have probably electricity running in there. I'm a Wolff homer for sure. But bottom line is I want guys to have what's going to work on their job site with them, and it makes sense for them to have.
And and you say that's if you look at the organizations that we have in flooring, and I'm not going to mention anyone because I'm not calling anybody out, any organization, but the manufacturers who attend feel the same way as you, right? We really, sure, we want to sell our stuff. That's how we all make money. But we really want to make the industry better. And if it's not my stuff and it's somebody else's, but that's better, so be it. And that's the way you really have to look at it. And I appreciate your candor in saying that because that's really what it is. I mean, that's why we're here, and that's why I see you all over the place.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. And then I can honestly respect that person for not selling me a tool, but selling me an idea or a solution. Sell me a solution. Sell me something that I can get the whole job done. And it may not be a Wolff tool. It may be brand X, brand Y. But I'm going to let you know my machine can't do that. Yeah. And I would rather you not waste money here.
And I can relate to and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I said, but I can relate to that because my installation career was only 6.5 years, almost 7. I had 7 back surgeries since then. I mean, that's 1 per year of installing. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. And I know exactly, when it happened. I was carrying a roll of carpet up some stairs and the other guy on the other end, he slipped and it fell on me. But I mean, there's things that can happen. I mean, it's you just got to be careful. So anything you can do to make the installer's life not only safer for him, but easier for him or her, that's what we want to try to do.
Well, I've got we've got this little tool. It's called a strip cutter. Okay, it looks like a T, and it's one of our safety tools. I call them our safety tools because it kind of takes several things out of the guy's hands so that they won't injure themselves. When I explain it to people, I say, I've got my 2 sons that we talked about. They're phenomenal kids. I call them my idiots because they're my sons, and at a point in life they were my idiots, and that's what it was. However, I would give these guys this strip cutter, and I would set it to a certain width to cut out borders when I was installing, and they can just take the material through it and just rip right through it. And it was like butter. I mean, so I went to one of the training centers, and I was explaining this to one of the apprentices. I think it was maybe a second-year guy. And he goes, no, I can do it faster with my straight edge and my knife. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. I said, so let's do 18 cuts at 6 inches. through a 6'6" roll of sheet goods. He was like, all right. So every time he had to get out his ruler, just measure 6 inches, 6 inches, 6 inches, line, make a line, and then cut. I was done cutting 15 strips, and he was on number 8.
Wow.
So I said, let's just go ahead and give you 8. So 15 done. And
7.5 then. 7.5 at best.
So I said, now you've got all yours cut. I got mine cut. I said, now let's put these things butt to butt in the end. Let's see whose is accurate. Mines were on all the way through. His grew 32nd of an inch. And the kid turned to me and said, that's just the 32nd of an inch. And I went, that's not how we think in flooring.
Yeah, really. 32-foot room.
Right.
1 inch.
That's not how we think in flooring.
How often do you run short on material?
Right. I said, but dude, look, that's just the 32nd, and you was halfway. Finished cutting, and you're 16th. This thing just keeps growing.
Wow.
I was like, dude.
Well, yeah, and and I say it a lot to folks is it's not really about being fast. It's about being efficient. If you can be more efficient, you can be the faster you're going to be. So
I showed him that, and I said, dude, I said, so what were you doing? He said, well, I cut my first piece, and then I drew my line off of my first piece. And I said, every time you drew that line, that material grew. Yeah. I said, it grew or it shrunk, depending on where you cut it at. Mm-hmm. Which side of the line you cut it. So
thickness of whatever the writing utensil he was using, that's what it was. Yeah.
That you're not accurate every time. I said, in our job, our profession, said, and Sonny and Paul, this becomes like drop dead passionate to me. Our job, our profession is always being sought out as, or being taught as being the last or the unimportant, or it's been sold as the cheapest. It has no value on it. And this is why. And I told him, I said, this is why, because 95% of us, 96% of us take pride in what we do and take pride in what you guys do. And I take pride in what you all do. I say I work in the flooring industry, and I say it with pride. I said, because you guys are artists. And when you don't think of yourself being a professional artist, it takes away everything that you guys are trying to accomplish.
Craftsman. Whether you're a craftsman or a layer.
It drops the value on what you're doing. And I'm not going to call out any box stores, but some box stores say 0% or 0 for
free installation.
For installation.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
And then when we don't take the time to make sure that we're not a 32nd of an inch off, it is free installation, because you're going to have to come back and fix something later.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's going to help you anyway. So
or you've given the manufacturer an excuse to deny a claim, which that does happen. Or they might just throw in material
and reinstall it.
And they might only pay for material. Oh yeah, we got a material problem, but look at that installation. We're not paying you to reinstall it. You were going to do that anyway.
So I get a little goofy with my tools, but I get more passionate with my industry.
Well, I think that's something we hold in common with the guests we try to have on here. I think it's one of the things that binds us together, is that we're trying to do things to help people be better at what they do, to help the image of the industry. You know,
that's it. Yeah.
That's going to take some work, but
I tell the guys, I've got tools that Wolff has tools that before I came to work with them that I worked with. I said, and they've got tools that made me look like I was a friggin' pro. I was done. I was like, man,
wow, they must be good.
I did pretty good. There's
my wife.
Go ahead. Just blow me out of the water.
My wife knows every time I take on a new product, it's probably going to cost me more money in new tools than it will in materials to actually get it done.
Yeah.
Just because I know me, and I know I better have the right tool for the job, because it'll look like I didn't if I don't.
When I was out here in some of these little fill-in jobs, and my wife's like, so what are you doing? I said, well, I got to do some work on. I was in the office a lot, and I was traveling at events and doing this, but I was getting so far away from the installation part of flooring that I was becoming to myself, I was becoming somewhat irrelevant, or someone who can't speak upon what's out there and who's doing what. And I felt like I was steadily getting away from what I really liked. So I would get back involved, do some weekend jobs just to keep myself kind of relevant.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And she, when it first came about with me working with some of these guys, with doing some sheet welding, some heat welding with the guys, she goes, well, how much are these tools going to cost us? So, well, it's going to cost.
Don't you hate when wives ask those kind of questions?
You'll be happier if you don't ask.
She asked, like, well, it's going to cost us a few $1,000s. She goes, well, what's a few? 2 or 3? I said, that's 5 or 6. Dickerson, that is not a few $1,000s. but honey, one job and they'll be paid for.
Yeah.
She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, let me show you the plan here. And she was just like, oh my goodness. I said, I've got 5 of these jobs. I got 5.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, here, just go ahead and use my credit card to pay for it all. Go ahead and use my credit card so I can get the points on my credit.
Yeah, on my end. Yeah.
Well, hey, we're hitting our hour here. I want to thank you, Corey, for joining us. Like I said, we've wanted to have you on, had you on the list from the time we started this thing, and it's been an enjoyable conversation. Where can everybody reach you? Do you want people reaching you?
Hey, you know what? They can always reach out to me. My email is Corey.Dickerson, DICKERSON at Utzine, that's U, Z as in zebra, I-N dash U, T as in Tom, Z as in zebra.com. Utzine Oots.
Utzine Oots.
And if they want to call me, feel free. I want to answer. It's 314. No, I'm just kidding. 314-709-3259. I'm always available. So,
and if it makes you feel better, leave a message. He won't check it, but you can leave a message.
Don't check. And if someone, like I mentioned to you guys, I've got this little PowerPoint on some of the tools. If they want to just check it out, they can always email me. I can send them an email. I mean, it's not that hard of a PowerPoint. It's just I took out all of those things that pertain to flooring in that long OSHA document, and I made them into probably 3 or 4 pages. And then the rest of the pages are just different tools. And
hey, send that to me. I'd be interested in seeing that, Corey.
RRPs and PPPs that the guys can actually use on jobs. It's really easy.
Yeah, send the link. We can link to it on the website.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you guys. You guys can do whatever the heck you want to.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Sonny, where can people get a hold of you?
Hey, everybody knows how to get in touch with me. I'm gonna spend my time with a personal note to Mr. Corey Dickerson. So everybody knows, or most people know about my daughter's accident, but this man right here was constantly asking about her, constantly checking on her. And it did not go unnoticed, man. I love you, brother. I appreciate you always asking about her. It just makes my day.
It makes my day, and she's a phenomenal girl. She's got some admirers over here in the Dickerson family. My daughter loves her.
Good. I appreciate it. I love that story, and I just want to make sure I got it out there to let everybody know.
No problem, brother. It's all love here. I don't like Paul, but I love you.
Oh, don't think that makes you special.
She'll be running NAFCT one day. She'll be Paul's boss here pretty soon.
Oh, so. God, sooner the better.
Much love to Paul. Paul and I spent some time in Minneapolis this year in February, and we gained a true. I would like to say we gained a true respect of each other that I look forward to talking to him. The 3 of us talked before we went on air here. There's some things that we don't agree with, but there are things that are more important that we do agree upon, and those things are respect, honor, the truth, honesty with each other, and just some general love. And that's where it always resides with me.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
getting a little choked up here.
Amen.
I agree, and to some extent, that's what this whole show is kind of about. It's amazing to us. We call people up, hey, you want to spend an hour with us on a podcast? And everybody to this point's been, yeah, absolutely, yeah, let's get on there and talk. And everybody we've had on have been not just people we work with, but friends.
Yeah.
And that's something that's grown out of this industry that's unexpected. I mean, you always think you're going to meet people, but there's some damn good people in the flooring industry.
Yes, there are.
I'm on a call with you, and I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man.
Thanks
for
joining
coming,
us,
buddy.
You can get a hold
Appreciate
of us. You can get a hold of us at paul@floorupodcast.com. You can email me if you're interested in getting any inspections done, Paul at Floor Claim Solutions, FLORCLAIMSOLUTIONS. Go to the website, floorupodcast.com, floorupodcast.com on Facebook and Twitter and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and if you're...
sign up for that heat weld class. It's going to fill up.
And just because we're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button right there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button right there.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you very much. And we will see you next week. I think we're going to have Annette Knapp on.
All right. Very nice.
Be interesting.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.